G-Money, before we really get going here, I want you to say something nice about Constance Wu. Tell me something you like about Constance Wu.
She's good on fresh off the boat.
I'll take it. Let's run a fast break. And welcome to this Sunday evening, July 31st edition of the Fast Break. Master Wu running the Fast Break along with G-Money. We call him G-Money because he's an accountant. How you doing this Sunday night, G-Money?
I'm doing good. Another good week in the books, or on the books, if I want to be
in the books.
in the books.
We will get to Mac Damon and the Great Wall in a little bit, but first we want to touch on the big event of the week, the Democratic National Convention. And boy, did it get off to a rough start.
All right, everybody now, settle down. Everybody settle down, please.
Before we start hammering in on some specifics, just your overall general feel on the DNC Monday through Thursday of last week.
Well, I thought it was basically the total opposite of the Republican National Convention. They actually had some very, very touching moments, good speeches, good. I think they actually talked about a lot more of the policy than the Republicans do. And overall, I think overall it went pretty smoothly.
Let's start off with Monday. The Bernie or Bust folks were very unhappy, and perhaps as they should be, because the Democratic National Chair, as we found out, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, through some WikiLeaks emails that were leaked out, it showed that the DNC did not appear to be staying neutral. They were trying to it looked like they were trying to sabotage, or at least talking about sabotaging Bernie Sanders in some of those emails. And it got to the point where Debbie Wasserman Schultz says she was going to resign after the convention. And G-Money, as I see it over your head, you know, when things hit the proverbial fan, I think there's three things you can do. You can A, lay low and just disappear. 2, you can step in front of the camera and say, we messed up, I messed up. You take the bullet, so to speak, you take your lumps, and then you walk away. Or 3, you can stand up for yourself, come up with a strong rebuttal about why other people are wrong. But unfortunately, Debbie Wasserman Schultz decided to go with option 4, which was pretend nothing happened and just carry on with business as usual. And then she got booed in the morning, and then they wouldn't let her gavel in, or they decided it was best not to let her gavel in later in the day. So she basically became invisible after the first day. I couldn't believe that no one got in her ear and said that was the smart thing to do in the first place. Once this controversy hit and the emails came out, what are you doing in front of the camera? It's only going to make things worse.
I thought she should have just came out and said she messed up. Apparently, she did. She obviously took a different route. But from the very beginning, we knew that something, there was some strange things going on with the election. I mean, I think from the very beginning, nobody thought that Bernie Sanders was going to make a real run for it. Everybody thought that Hillary was the presumptive nominee. And I think the head of the DNC, the head of the DNC was just trying to push everybody in that direction. Obviously, once Bernie got a little traction, her support got stronger and stronger. And but ultimately, I think from the very beginning, we knew that the DNC wanted Hillary as the nominee for this upcoming election.
And I don't know if you remember, Sarah Silverman had some comments that had people laughing.
To the Bernie or Bust people, you're being ridiculous.
There were many beautiful moments when Chelsea Clinton introduced her mother, and then Hillary Clinton came out. And that's actually my picture on that little tag there right there, when they just sort of gazed into each other's eyes like, I'm so proud. I don't know what they were saying. Maybe I'm so proud of you. I can't even believe we're here. I'm not sure what they were saying. But that moment where they just sort of paused, embraced, and looked at each other, I started getting the feels on that one too. Just show me some of the highlights from your perspective, G-Money.
Well, first of all, there's a lot of highlights that I want to get to. But first, yeah, that was a nice moment. Hillary and Chelsea embracing. Still, I do have to point out some of the negatives.
There we go
I do have to
again.
point out some because I like to be objective. And there was,
And then you complain about some mean comments people leave you.
No, I'm just being objective about this. I mean, I'm not trying to rile anybody up or anything, but we said some negative things about the Republican National Convention, and obviously this convention had some positives, but also had some negatives. The negatives were that Hillary Clinton still looked pretty robotic. That was one of the big negatives. She doesn't seem like she's in touch with her, she just when she talks, her delivery seems a little robotic. I mean, you see other speeches, you see Bernie Sanders, he speaks from the heart. Even Joe Biden, even Barack Obama, they really can know how to, rile up and
that's not her thing. She just doesn't have the talent,
right,
the skills,
right,
to pull that
so
off.
That's something a president should be able to, identify with, the American people, show some, real emotions. She didn't show that. Another thing is Michelle Obama came on in her speech. She basically called out Donald Trump without actually saying his name, but she said, "Don't ever let anyone tell you this country isn't great." Now, if you remember in 2008, she said, "For the first time in my adult life, I am proud of my country." Now, those two things seem to contradict each other because Donald Trump's saying that I can make America great again, while Michelle Obama in 2008, before the general election, said, "For the first time, I am proud." That means that obviously the country was not that great at that time, but once her husband became president, now it's great again. So obviously there's some negatives that you can be said about that. So what do you think about both speeches, Hillary and Michelle Obama's speech?
Let's start off with Michelle Obama because that's so easy. It brought down the house. I mean, that was, and I put this on my Facebook, and I don't care what party you are, that was a steroid era home run. I'm talking Mark McGwire slamming Sammy Sosa, getting juiced up, smacking the ball out of the ballpark. That's how great it was. Just some of the images she was able to conjure up there. I remember there was a line about her daughters having their faces pressed up against the glass of the car while big guys are holding guns around them, and they're thinking, "What did we do?" That just painted a beautiful picture. Another line she had something about when they go low, we go high. I think it was just tremendous all around on Michelle Obama. As for Hillary, we can't hold her to those standards. The beginning of her speech, I think she started out fine. I think in the middle, she sort of hit a pocket, a sweet spot. But in the end, it did start to drag a little bit, and I think maybe she lost a bit of oomph at the end. But I like the beginning, the middle. But I don't know how much this is going to impact the independents. And, we keep track of this stuff. I don't know how much everyone else is, because when they go to Ohio and Pennsylvania and talk to these working class people, especially the Donald Trump supporters, the one that don't have college degrees, he smokes her in that category or demographic. Do they really want to hear about all these specific plans, or is it good enough if a billionaire walks up there and says, "I know how to create jobs and I'm going to get it done"? They might buy that over like a 5-point plan that she has to explain over 10 minutes.
Well, I think a lot of people want to hear about the policies. I mean, you don't want to just hear, "I'm going to make America great again," over and over.
I think that
again.
Might be enough for a lot of these working class people without college degrees that he's leading so far, and I think that's all they want to hear.
That's the thing about this. That's the thing that scares me. A lot of people without college degrees are going to be voting, and this is why Donald Trump is closing in. I read a poll the other day that had Donald Trump maybe down like 4 only nationally.
He's leading in some polls too,
and leading in some of the polls. So this is what scares me: is a lot of uneducated people are going to be voting for Donald Trump.
It's going to come down to Ohio, Pennsylvania. I think Hillary's got Virginia now with Tim Kaine, North Carolina, and Florida. I think it'll come down to those 4 states. If Hillary can win any of the 4, Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania. And I was playing around with that electoral map on abcnews.com. If Hillary can win any of the 4, I think she's in. But if Trump can, and I think it's a possibility, if he takes Ohio, Pennsylvania, Florida, and North Carolina, it's a wrap. Welcome to the Donald Trump era.
Well, I mean, that's usually how most general elections come down to, right? Those 4 states.
It looks like Trump has to thread a needle where Hillary can mess up here and there. Just get one of those 4 states, and she should be all right. Just looking at it
Well,
from right now.
how come the national polls show that Donald Trump might be in the lead right now?
Well, because national polls focus on everyone. I don't care if more people in Texas want to vote for Donald Trump now, because whether he's leading by 20 points or 10 points in Texas, it's still the same number of electoral votes.
I agree, but I think it's a little closer than anybody ever anticipated, right?
Moving on to another moment of the DNC that I think this may have been the most powerful speech of the entire convention. Khizr Khan gave an emotional, an eloquent, a moving, a powerful tribute to his son, Army Captain Humayun Khan, who died in Iraq in 2004. There was he told his unit to take cover as he walked towards a car that was coming onto their base. And it turns out that car was a suicide bomber, and he lost his life, and he saved a lot of people from his unit. So Khizr Khan goes up there and delivers, I think it was like a 6 or 7 minute speech, just filled with powerful moments. At one point, he took out the Constitution, and it looked like he was talking right to Donald Trump, as if Donald Trump was sitting right in front of him, asking when was the last time he read the Constitution, asking Trump what he sacrificed. And then Trump actually responded to him. But what do you think about Khizr Khan's speech? People are still talking about this.
I thought it was powerful. I thought it was effective. It got the crowd roaring when he actually brought out the Constitution and called Donald Trump out on not reading the Constitution. He also called Donald Trump out on not making any sacrifices in his life. So there was a lot of powerful words right there. Obviously, he had his wife standing next to him. And the whole, I think overall, it had a very good impact on the difference between bringing people together and dividing. Donald Trump wants to bring division, but there's a lot of Muslim soldiers defending this country every single day. So I think that was a very powerful message that he actually brought to the table.
Donald Trump did have a response, and it was, oh boy, it was a doozy, Giovanni. It was a doozy.
It was a typical Donald Trump response. Did you expect anything less? When he basically said that his wife was standing there, not allowed to speak. Now, Donald Trump obviously also said, I made a lot of sacrifices. I created a lot of jobs. I built a lot of buildings. When he was talking about I believe it was George Stephanopoulos, he had an interview with him. He was asked to respond, and that's what he said. And George asked him, are there really sacrifices by just creating jobs and building buildings? And Donald Trump basically said, yes, those are sacrifices. I think they are. So that's a typical Donald Trump response. What do you expect anything less? I mean, Donald Trump can't just take the high road. He has to respond to every single attack, and basically just called out his wife for just standing there and not saying anything.
G-Buddy, and I know journalists are supposed to play it neutral. You're not supposed to take sides. You're supposed to stay down the middle. But,
which is what you've been doing for the past, I don't know how many years you've been a journalist.
But that doesn't mean you can't tell right from wrong. And that doesn't mean every truth and every side is created equal. I mean, you could tell that this was just wrong. I mean, I know Donald Trump said, oh, the guy attacked me. I have a chance to respond. True. But I don't see how you respond by going after the man's wife. If you want to respond, you respond directly to his statements. You talk about the sacrifices you made. Maybe you talk about how often you read the Constitution, but you don't go after the man's wife. That just made me sick. And then by going after his wife, he basically was further proving their point. And one of their points was he's talking about other people's ethics and religions without A, looking at his own, and B, educating himself on the actual religion or the ethics of the group of people he's talking about. So to go up there and insinuate this mother, who obviously was distraught, and I think in another interview she said she can't even walk into a room with her son's photos, to talk about that woman who was just in pain and distraught and say she's just standing there because she isn't allowed to speak. That was just crazy.
I mean, there's a lot of things that you can say about Donald Trump's comments, but one thing that's consistent, I think everybody will agree, is that Donald Trump was wrong to basically, his response was basically not the correct response. I mean, it's not a human response.
The general voter, the general Donald Trump supporter out there, I don't really think they care about this.
Can we also talk about the fact that he basically wanted to tell the Russians to hack Hillary's email to find out what was actually going on?
Hey, he said he was being sarcastic.
Yeah. And see, this is the thing about Donald Trump. Every time he gets called out after he makes a stupid comment, he says, "I'm being sarcastic. I was joking. I had to respond somehow." Happens every single time, and sooner or later, you gotta say, "Hey, enough is enough." That the first comment is what he really meant, and he's just trying to do damage control. I don't think it's even him that's trying to do damage control. It's his people that are trying to do damage control with what he says. Because initially he says one thing, he tweets it out, and then like a day later, there's a statement coming out and saying, "Oh, that's not what I meant," and blah 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 blah. So. As sooner or later, you just gotta take his comments at face value. Basically, he just says whatever's on his mind, and whatever's on his mind is not what is gonna help the American people going forward.
And I just want to touch on Khizr Khan again real quick, G-Money. I don't know if you read Khizr and his wife gave some interviews to some newspapers that I read up on, and he actually said his wife played a big role during that convention because she was the one that told him not to say certain things and to hold back a little bit. One of the things he said that got a little chuckle out of me, he said, "Unlike Donald Trump's wife, I didn't plagiarize my speech," to where I was like, "Oh, burn." So here's some of the other things. He said his wife, he said he had more attacks for Donald Trump during that convention speech. He wanted to bring up the fact that Trump had 3 wives, yet somehow has the audacity to talk about their ethics, their religion, how they treat women. But then he said that was one of the things that his wife came to him and said, "No, you are not saying that. We're not going to stoop to his level," as Michelle Obama said, "When they go low, we go high. And we are paying tribute to our son, and don't do that." And I think I think she might have saved him, because if he went that far, it might, at some point, you're going to listen and say, "All right, that's getting a little personal." But it looked like his wife kept him in line and helped him deliver this great speech that everyone's now talking about.
I thought that was a great move. I think that, I agree. He shouldn't have said anything about Trump's wife. I mean, Trump sometimes likes to get personal. And if you stoop to that level, you're just going to alienate a lot of people also. So it was the right move. He delivered a powerful speech, to the point, called Donald Trump out on his stance on foreign policy, about banning Muslims from coming into this country. So that was the point that he was trying to make from beginning to end, and I think he delivered it with extreme effectiveness. And now, I think it was to the point. So there's nothing wrong with what he said.
On to our final topic, if you're ready. There is a trailer that was just released, and it is creating a lot of headlines. I am talking about Matt Damon in ancient China.
I thought you were talking about Jeremy Lin's Space Jam 3 trailer.
That was good. I'll leave a link to that on the description below. But we're going to talk about Matt Damon in a movie called The Great Wall, coming out in 2017. Constance Wu sounded off, and just to clarify real quick, we can show her statement a little bit. She wasn't exactly slamming the theater, the studios, or Matt Damon. Just a general concept of having a Caucasian save the day. I want to read you what it says in the movie poster right there, along with Matt Damon's face. It said 1,700 years to build, 5,500 miles long. What were they trying to keep out? I think I have the answer, G-Money. They're trying to keep out the Asian actor that wanted to play the lead role in this movie.
Well, so you're agreeing with Constance Wu that they should have casted an Asian actor instead of Matt Damon. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not sure that's what she's saying. I think she's saying she's tired of seeing movie after movie after movie after movie. I guess she would.
Who else has a problem with this besides Asians?
Well, why would you? If you're Hispanic, I could see why you probably don't care.
Name one Asian actor besides John Cho that everybody knows that speaks English.
Daniel Day Kim doesn't speak English.
Yeah, but I mean, he's
Aaron Yu doesn't speak English. Jason
nobody
Scott
knows
Lee.
Nobody knows who Aaron Yu is.
I'm not saying they're a star, but how are you going to make him a star if you don't put him in a movie?
You can make him an international star. He doesn't have to be an American star.
So you're okay with Emma Stone playing a character named Allison Eng in Aloha?
Some movies, yeah. You question it. But I got to say, it's all about making money. This is a money-making industry. It's a profit-making industry. And if you think that Emma Stone is going to make you more profit than another Asian female actor, then you got to go with it. That's the truth, and that's always the way it is. That's just the way it is.
Well, why can't we try to find a different way to make money? There's plenty of times when they put someone non-Asian there, the movie's a freaking bust.
I think I don't have a problem with them trying to make money. That's all I got to say. I mean, if they want to cast a white actor, if they want to cast a bunch of black actors to play, if they think Will Smith is going to make them the most money, then you cast Will Smith. If you think Denzel Washington is going to make you the most money, you dress Denzel Washington in a samurai outfit. I don't care. But the bottom line is, you take a chance, you take that risk, and if it fails, it's on you.
Why don't we try to be better? Constance Wu says we're perpetuating a myth that only white men can save the world. Why can't we try to be better?
White men can save the world. Well, this is not exactly based on a true story, right? The Great Wall. I mean,
well, it's not just this one movie. It's just looking at the totality of it happening over and over and over again. So Scarlett Johansson is going to be the star actress in The Ghost Shell, which is a Japanese anime. She will be playing a Major Motoko Kusanagi. I can barely say the name. So why in the world is Scarlett Johansson going to play this role? Can you explain how that's okay?
They're going to make her look like Asian.
That's even worse.
With all the makeup and stuff.
That's even worse.
No, with the special effects and all that other stuff, I'm sure they can make her look a little Asian. That's all. I
don't think the problem. You don't think it's a problem to make her look Asian instead of just casting an Asian to stay true to the story?
Look, yeah, some things, you got to question, but obviously, I'm sure a lot of Asian actors, if they're good enough, will be cast in that role.
How they won't even get cast in regular stuff? Is it really? You think it's really about skill and talent?
It's about making money, like I said. If you see Scarlett Johansson all around the world, everybody knows who Scarlett Johansson is.
But they make busts too.
Everybody in the world knows who Denzel Washington is. Everybody knows who Matt Damon is around the world. Matt Damon in China alone, in that Martian movie, made $91 million for them. So,
and Stephen Chow just set a record with the movie called The Mermaid. Why can't we get Stephen Chow up in there?
He doesn't speak English.
His English can't be much worse than Andy Lau, can it?
It's funny you're taking a stance on this because off the air, you were basically saying that Constance Wu is wrong for calling out, was it Hollywood or the studios?
What I didn't like about the one thing I didn't like about Constance Wu's statement was when she was talking about how we don't need, why don't we show people of color as heroes? And she brought up like Nelson Mandela, she brought up Gandhi, she brought up Malala, she brought up, your big sister when you're getting bullied. I was a little disappointed that she couldn't drop an
Nelson Mandela is gonna fight some dragon on the Great Wall.
No, we're not saying Nelson Mandela himself. We're just saying someone who looks like us, maybe talks like us, has a somewhat similar background as opposed to the usual cookie cutter hero we get. So maybe she should have brought up. I would have liked it if she brought up like a Gary Locke or more of an Asian American name. But I get her point that how come we can't see our own heroes on the screen?
Who are our heroes? Our heroes are basically, anybody we want them to be. I mean, use your imagination. You can.
No, our heroes are. It's usually the Caucasian guy saving the world, is it not?
It doesn't have to be. I mean,
it is in Hollywood, though. That's the problem.
All right, but if you don't like it, don't watch it. I mean, it's not like everybody's forcing you to watch this. I mean, if you don't like it, don't watch it. And then the studio's not going to make money, and obviously they think that they're going to think they're making a mistake, and then they might change. But if you're going to go and keep watching it, If you
I
go and
think we're
keep
just-
watching
we're just-
the
we're
movie
just
with
stuck in
Matt
a-
Damon in China, then they're gonna keep making it with Matt Damon saving the world in China.
Is there a social responsibility somewhere here?
Look, the studio's only responsibility is to its viewers, right? They have a responsibility to.
And we want to see our own people represented.
No, you
What's wrong
want to
with that?
see your own people represented, but everybody else, if they're gonna make money, they're gonna cast a white actor to play that role because that white actor might bring them the most money coming in.
Let me ask you this: why were people saying Hillary Clinton winning the nomination was historic? Why were they saying that? Why did they say that was so important?
Because she's a woman.
Yes, when the video plays of Hillary Clinton accepting the nomination for president of the United States of a major political party, when a little girl sees that, what happens to that little girl?
She thinks she can become president of the United States.
Yes, and the little Asian kid sitting in his room hoping to see an Asian hero, what does he see when he's on the lookout for that on TV?
That he can also, go out there.
Right,
and be a
but is
hero.
he seeing that? No.
No. Let me tell you
No,
something.
when he
little
sees an Asian on TV, 99.9% of the time, it's some karate guy, it's some nerdy friend. And maybe 0.1% of the time they're watching me. But if 99.9% of the time, they don't get that representation. Isn't that a problem? Don't you see that as an issue, G Money? If there were more Asian guys playing heroes than the little Asian boy growing up, and even if you're not Asian, you'll have a different perspective or at least a different visualization of an Asian dude.
I agree with you on some level, but that's not the way the world works. All right, it's all about revenue at the end. That's why, like a few months ago, all these women athletes want the same pay as men athletes, and I gotta tell you, it's all about the revenue you're bringing in. If they're not bringing in the revenue, they don't deserve an equal amount of pay. Just like if an Asian actor is basically and nobody watches them, they don't deserve to be on screen.
But how do I know Daniel Day Kim would be in the Great Wall?
I know that for a fact. Daniel Day Kim is not as bankable as Matt Damon. That is a fact. That is a fact.
So no social responsibility, no responsibility to stay true to a story. And I'm not just talking about Great Wall, just movies in general. No social responsibility or responsibility to staying true to the story for you.
When I hear Matt Damon's in a movie, I would go to see him over Daniel Day Kim. That's what I believe.
And if there were no Asian American male heroes on TV, you'd say, meh, they don't make money.
If there's no Asian American male heroes, they don't make money.
If you never see them on TV, and the reason is meh, they don't make money, you're okay with that?
Yeah, if they don't make money, then why put them on TV? Why put them in movies if they don't make money?
I'd like to think we're just better than that.
Well, then you live in a world of fantasy because we are not better than that. This is the world we live in, and we have to learn to deal with it. We can't just bring up every single social issue. A lot of races have issues, personal agendas, right? We can't please them all. Now, ultimately, it's a business, and I respect that business. They have the right to cast whoever they want in the lead role to make them the most money.
This is a Chinese-owned studio running the show, so of course they're going to cast Andy Lau. They're going to cast pop stars because they want their own people to watch. And you're right, it is about money. It's about these studio execs in China figuring out how they can use Hollywood to make the most money, and then Hollywood trying to pretend this isn't a foreign movie. This is a Chinese movie, trying to sneak into Asia to try to maximize their profits there, because China actually has a rule where, you know, they can only accept or show X amount of American movies. And I think this won't even count as an American movie. But it's basically both sides trying to use each other for maximized profits, and neither of them gives a darn about the Asian Americans here.
Well, yeah. I mean, did you expect anything more or anything less? I mean, this is the way the world works. You have to accept that is you have to play by the rules, and the rules are whoever makes the most money gets. You have to cast them to be bankable.
Isn't it sad to just to say that?
I don't think it's sad at all. I think that's the way the world works. You have to accept it.
But if the little Asian kid never sees an Asian guy acting, what makes him think it's even possible for him to win an Oscar?
First of all, if you're Asian and you want to become an actor, you go to China.
Oh my god! Oh my god! But you're an American.
No, I'm an Asian American. I'm keeping it real right now. This is my opinion. If you're an Asian you want to become an actor, right?
Oh boy.
You're more bankable in China than you are in the U.S. You can't just. First of all, a lot of Asian, for example, Jackie Chan, right? He started out.
He's not American.
No, but he started out in making movies in China, right? So then he became an international star, and now he moved to the U.S., right? And he slowly made it into this market. Right now, he's the most popular thing. A lot of Americans, are crazy about Jackie Chan, right? You have to start in China first, and then make your way to you can't start in America.
You're not saying this right now.
You have to agree.
Do you think China cares about? Do you think the Chinese care about Lucy Liu? Do you think they care about Jamie Chung? People in China don't care two bits about these people.
Well, first of all, they're not good actors. All right,
I will not let you besmirch the name of Jamie Chung right here.
You tell me Jamie Chung is a good actress?
She's all right.
She's terrible. What do you mean she's all right? We have to be honest here. She's made some terrible movies. If she can act, she would be she would get better roles, but she can't act. All right?
Here's and when you talk about that, here's the way to change things. There's enough actors and actresses out there where there's barely enough roles for the ones that are already there. The best way to change things, and this is the same when it comes to TV, when it comes to news, you have to have more writers, you have to have more producers, you have to have more executives of studios, people with some real power to do the hiring of some of these things. Like when I do the news, I can probably sneak any story in that I want because they'll just let me. But the producer behind the scenes, first off, when I roll in at 3:00, there's only so much I can do before I got to get on. But the producer who rolls in earlier, he pretty much picks 90% of what goes into the show, and then I can try to overrule it, and we'll bang heads. But I think the point is we need more people behind the scenes, more people who are writing, more people who are directing, more people who are somehow work their way into studio exec. That's when we'll see a change. That's when we can move out of the mentality. If it doesn't make money, well, then we're just not going to do it. As opposed to maybe we should just tell a good story and be truthful to that story.
See, this is not the way the world works. You have to make the most money.
Let's make a better world.
Look, we've been saying that for the past probably 150 years. All right, let's make a better world. Like we have to take it one step at a time. It's not going to happen overnight. All right, let's.
Will you agree with Constant? Would you agree with Constant Wu's general point that there is a hero bias in Hollywood? When we think hero, there's 90% of the time, vast majority, there's one visual.
Are you talking about superheroes?
Representation? No, just any hero, just a hero. 90%, the vast majority of the times, when we visualize a hero, when Hollywood visualizes a hero, it's usually the same look.
Yeah, because that look works.
So I guess what you're trying to say is if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense.
Look, I told you, I'm going to go back to my general point. If you're an Asian trying to make it in Hollywood, you need to
don't say it again. Don't say it again.
Right now, you cannot just go into the American market and expect to make it big, because I'm telling you, you need to do what Jackie Chan did, Jet Li. They all started off over.
Jackie Chan can't start in America because he's not from America. Neither can Jet Li.
Right. And I'm telling you, first of all, there's not a lot of Asian American actors out there, right? Let's be honest.
There's enough. There's enough to where
there's enough. I can tell like maybe 10. That's it.
Because there's no roles for them to play.
Well, what do you want them to play? I mean, I don't
Regular people, stuff that has nothing to do with being Asian. Like when John Cho was on Selfie, I thought that was tremendous because A, that character had nothing to do with being Asian, and B, that character could have been played by any guy from any race. That's why I love that show.
And look what happened to it. It got canceled.
I don't think it should have gotten canceled. I mean, it wasn't that bad
because nobody watched. Nobody watched it.
I don't know. I thought it was a decent show.
Yeah, because you're Asian. That's why you thought it was a decent show.
Well, look, maybe that got me tuned in, but I don't watch.
You're tuning in because he's an Asian playing a regular guy. But
and if there were 5 of them, I wouldn't always tune in. But when there's only one guy, I'm going to tune in.
Right, there's not a lot of Asian actors out there. Asian American actors.
I think you don't see them because there's usually one role and one guy gets it, so you see one guy. But there might be 10 guys going for that one role.
Yeah, but if you put an Asian actor in with like a bunch of there's not a lot of room for that Asian actor.
Yes, let's make space.
Look, if you make space, it's not going to be realistic. It's not going to be realistic if you put an Asian actor in like a gang of
why? All right, why can't an Asian guy be part of, like, if there's a scene with some gangbangers, why can't one of those guys be played by an Asian?
I'm sure there are. I'm sure, but you just don't notice them. That's all.
I'm pretty sure I would notice. I notice every Asian that's on TV, like everyone. I mean everyone. Maybe not on
TV, but maybe in the movies, you get an Asian as an extra in the background, right, playing a gangbanger. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people like that.
Well, it doesn't look like I'm going to ever convince you that anything should be done unless maybe. I guess your point is we should just Tyler Perry this thing.
No, look. Let me tell you something right now. If you get an Asian in power, right, he can do whatever he wants. If you're an Asian at the head of the studio, he can cast another Asian in all his movies. I mean, it doesn't matter, right? So all you got to do is, have that type of power, and then you're home free.
All right. Any final thoughts before I move on to our final segment of the week, G Money?
No, I think we're good.
All right. Let's start off with our final segment. It is called What the Heck? Just something that happened this week that made you say to yourself, what the heck? And my what the heck, G Money, has to do with a guy who was a tremendous Knick. I will remember him forever. Everything he brought to New York City, the never say die attitude. He went out guns blazing like a washed up superhero. I'm talking about Amare Stoudemire retiring as a New York Knick. What the heck was that about, G-Money? Amare Stoudemire was here for a hot second. Didn't accomplish really a single thing here. Well, he got to the playoffs a couple years. Big whoop-de-woo. And then I actually had to look at that silly picture that said, once a Knick, always a Knick. Right. And then I'm reading, he's not really retired. He wants to play in Israel. What? Then why are you retiring? And then what made it even worse, I read someone else say he retired a Knick because he went to the Phoenix Suns and wanted to go back there, and he didn't really like the reception he got, so he said, all right, I'll retire a Knick. So the Knick are Amare Stoudemire's sloppy seconds. I can't believe it. I would have said, no, you are not retiring a New York Knick. Get out of here. And I actually like the guy.
Amare Stoudemire is
and Amare Stoudemire stole Rookie of the Year from Yao Ming, though that wasn't his fault. Right? Back to you.
Amare Stoudemire is just a player without a country. That's all he is. I mean, he obviously went to the Phoenix Suns first. First of all, who leaked that? I mean, I don't think it should have been even mentioned, right? That just makes I think the Phoenix Suns look pretty bad, and also Amare Stoudemire looked pretty bad that the Phoenix Suns didn't want him to retire as a Phoenix Sun. So neither party looks good in that situation. So I don't think that story should have been leaked. Plus, it was a little shocking that he was retiring a Knick because since he only played like 5 years with him. So, but he did. Didn't he make the playoffs a couple of times with Knicks? So he did have an impact.
Is that our standard for retiring?
That's our standard
Knicks? Since
the Knicks can't make the playoffs. It doesn't seem like they can even touch the playoffs recently. So. I think
Well,
Amare
well,
Stoudemire did have an impact.
when are we going to throw the party for Stephon Marbury?
Well, I just think that if that's another thing. If Stephon Marbury actually retires a Knick, then I'll be incredulous. But Amare Stoudemire retiring as a Knick, he did have some good moments as a Knick, but it was just a little shocking that he would do so. So it's just.
If you were the Knicks, why would you even agree to this? You were the second choice, and he's going to play in Israel next year.
Well, maybe they didn't know that he was the second. They were the second choice.
Maybe not, because this organization doesn't know a lot of things that it should.
Right. So you can't blame the Knicks for agreeing with it.
Yes, you were here for a hot second, and you only came because we threw a boatload of money your way after you had microfracture surgery earlier in your career.
So you don't think the Knicks should retire his number?
No! I won't even give him a suite after this.
I thought Amare Stoudemire was a decent guy when he was at the Knicks. I mean,
I don't have a problem with his character.
He did help. He did help them. I mean, it's not like he didn't do anything for the franchise. It wasn't like he was a backup player and he didn't do anything. He came here. He signed a big contract. He tried to make an impact, and then Carmelo Anthony came and basically ruined everything.
I will agree with that part. And basically there was no one left except Amare Stoudemire pretty much.
And he got hurt. He did get hurt with some back problems later on in his Knick career also. So in the beginning of his Knick career, he tried his best, but I don't think he should have been retired as a Knick.
Me either. Who wants to applaud that? I mean, geez.
All right, I got my what the heck here.
All right, go ahead.
Now, a Texas couple is claiming sexual harassment against a restaurant in Tennessee because apparently the wife of the couple got squirted on in the face by a plastic toy with its pants pulled down. Now, do you think that should have been that? This is one of the weirder stories I have seen. I mean, I've seen a lot of stupid lawsuits. But if they actually sued this restaurant because basically squirted water because a toy squirted water in her face and claiming sexual harassment, I think that's a little ridiculous.
Well, I haven't seen the doll or the picture of it. I don't know how realistic it looks.
Well, it was just a doll with its pants pulled down, and obviously it looked like she got peed on.
Well, yeah. Why is your employee pulling down the pants of a doll and pretending to use it to?
No, the pants was already pulled down. I mean,
how is it already pulled down? What?
No, it was a funny toy. It's just a funny toy that was at the restaurant. I mean, it wasn't anything.
Was it Dave and
offensive.
Buster's? Like, what kind of restaurant is this?
No, it was a hibachi restaurant. It was a
Japanese hibachi.
Restaurant. It was a Japanese restaurant.
Was the person Japanese?
No, it was. It doesn't sound like
they do get Japanese. A little kinky. The Japanese, just keeping it real.
I think this is just a little bit weird. But would you actually sue them for this if it actually happened to you?
I would ask for an apology, and if I got that I would move on.
I would too, but it's just a weird story. That's all.
All right, we'll catch you next week on the Fast Break.
Signing off.